and Congress is certainly feeling the heat. We're live in Washington just 1 week before a potential shutdown. And the blonde bombshell, the internet taking aim at First Lady Melania Trump after an interview with our very own Sean Hannity. But it's not what she said that has people talking. Fox and Friends First starts right now. Good morning to you. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Friday morning. I'm Heather Childers. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. Unfortunately, we get straight to this Fox News alert for you. A police officer shot and killed when a routine traffic stop turns violent. This happening in DeKalb County. The suspect shooting the officer in the head while he ran from his car in Georgia. He also shot and wounded a canine before being killed in a shootout with police. Now, the fallen officer was with the department for less than 2 years. His brother's in blue in tears outside the hospital. This, by the way, the 46th officer shot and killed in the line of duty this year. An update for you. The suspected terrorist behind the Christmas market massacre in France is dead. Sharif Chakat killed in the shootout with police following an international manhunt. Police say that he opened fire on officers when they tried to question him just steps away from the scene of Tuesday's attack. Chakat is accused of killing 3 people and injuring more than a dozen others. We're turning now to politics, the other big story, and a live shot from Capitol Hill, where lawmakers have just 3 working days to avoid a government shutdown. And before Congress is out on break, actually, until Wednesday, leaving little time to come up with a deal. Jillian Turner is live in Washington with the latest on the fight for border funding. So basically all that meant was they don't have a lot of time left, right?
No, it is. The clock is ticking down, Heather. So President Trump, though, is holding his ground. He's insisting he won't be deterred from his pursuit of the wall after his Wednesday Oval Office meeting with the Democratic leadership.
We need border security. Whatever it takes to get border security, I will do it. I pledged that a long time ago, and I will pledge it always.
He tweeted out a one-line olive branch to Democrats yesterday about how both sides of the aisle should come together to avoid a shutdown, but then attached further video blasting the Democratic leadership as hypocrites. So now Schumer and Pelosi firing back last night, saying they're not giving in either. Schumer claiming there are no additional appropriations to pay for the $5 billion wall the president's demanding, and Pelosi telling reporters the president doesn't seem to understand how trade agreements work after he again insisted Mexico would pay for the wall. Meanwhile, a fiery exchange on the House floor as members scrambled to get to a legislative fix.
You know what the solution is? Sit down with us and come to a compromise. Not that it's your way or no way.
These are bills that are your bills that we compromised on, and we are prepared to vote for 99%. 99%.
The president's Border Patrol chief chiming in on Fox News yesterday in support of her boss.
We certainly do need a wall. If you talk to any Border Patrol agent, they will tell you that. This is something that we've been doing for the last 30 years. We have identified across the entire southwest border areas that wall makes sense, and I have prioritized that based on the operational requirements from my field leadership.
Lawmakers in the House and Senate need to pass 7 spending bills in order to keep the government open past next Friday, December 21st. But the House has now left town. They don't plan to meet again until the evening of Wednesday, that's the 19th, meaning when they come back, they have just 2 days to get to a deal, Heather.
I don't know about you, but if I had that much work to do, I don't know if I would have taken those days off. But all right.
I don't know I would either.
Thank you. Well,
Thanks,
as Jillian just said, with about a week until the government shuts down, neither party appears to be ready to budge on immigration. White House senior policy advisor Stephen Miller says that it's clear which party has the backs of the American people.
The Democrats are fighting for illegal aliens. Donald Trump is fighting for American citizens. That's what this whole thing's about. It's about working men and women. It's about safe communities. It's about wages, living conditions, quality of life. This is the battle right now, right before our very eyes. We are going to win because Donald Trump is not backing down. This is going to be one of the defining issues of the next 2 years heading into 2020. And the Democratic Party follows the path of open borders, then the Democratic Party is going to engage in self-immolation. Donald Trump is fighting for working people, and he's fighting to restore the borders around this country that are the essential ingredient for national sovereignty and national success in a way that nobody has who's held that office, not only in my lifetime, but frankly, in the history of this country.
Well, in other news, the FBI missing its deadline to hand over documents surrounding a massive raid on the home of a Clinton whistleblower. This comes as Congress digs deeper into allegations of pay-to-play schemes at the Clinton Foundation. Arthel Neville is here live to break it all down for us. Hi, Arthel. It's great to have you with us.
Nice to see you, Heather. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, the Justice Department FBI under fire for missing a crucial deadline to hand over documents. The Senate Judiciary Committee demanding more information after 16 agents raided the home of whistleblower Dennis Kane last month. He allegedly gave the DOJ Inspector General documents that prove officials did not investigate potential crimes related to Hillary Clinton and the Uranium One deal. The Inspector General is not saying why they missed the deadline. Meantime, the Clinton Foundation is back in the spotlight as the House Oversight Committee examines accusations of pay-to-play activity. The committee chairman sounding off about newly revealed tax documents during a hearing on Capitol Hill.
Now, several reports suggest that the decrease in donations could reflect a pay-to-play activity in the years prior to the decline in donations. Mr. Huber was asked to join us this afternoon and update the committee. Unfortunately, DOJ has been unwilling to make him available.
U.S. Attorney John Huber is the prosecutor that was appointed to investigate the foundation. The foundation has denied all allegations of pay-to-play. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan pinpointing the signs of corruption surrounding Clinton within the FBI.
Never forget the bias that exists with these key people. McCabe, Comey, Strzok, Page, Baker, these key people. Remember the name they gave the Clinton investigation. Mid-year exam. Just the names show you the bias that was there from the get-go with these top people at the FBI who ran both investigations.
Recent filings show the Clinton Foundation took in nearly $27 million last year. That's a 58% drop from the year before. Heather, nice to be in here with you this morning.
Really great to have you. Yeah, my former office mate when I first got here.
I know.
Right. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
See you later. Well, the Justice Department blames an FBI software failure for thousands of missing text messages sent between anti-Trump former officials. A new report revealing government phones given to Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were wiped out once Strzok was fired from working on the Russia probe. Now, the special counsel claims that there were no substantive text messages on the phone before it was reset. As Strzok and Page were removed from Mueller's team once their politically charged text came to light. Well, we rarely catch a glimpse of President Trump's youngest son, Barron. And in an exclusive Fox News interview, First Lady Melania Trump explains why.
It does make me angry because children should be off limits. And I protect him and I want to give him normal life as possible. This is not normal life, but I like to protect him and give him the childhood that he deserves.
The First Lady says that 12-year-old Barron is enjoying life in Washington and that he's tough with a soft heart. And he's very tall, too. Very tall kid. Well, how about some football? And why our next guest says it may be very difficult for prosecutors to go after the president. And Christmas comes early, the highway cash spill giving drivers an extra holiday bonus. Well, President Trump speaking out about the Michael Cohen sentencing exclusively on Fox News. His former personal attorney will spend 3 years behind bars. Todd Pyro joins us live as the president says he never told Cohen to do anything wrong. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning to you, Heather. President Trump sat down with our own Harris Faulkner for an exclusive interview, and as you might expect, he didn't hold back.
What he did was all unrelated to me, except for the 2 campaign finance charges that are not criminal and shouldn't have been on there. They put that on to embarrass me. They put those 2 charges on to embarrass me. They're not criminal charges. No.
Cohen, who worked as Trump's lawyer before turning against his boss, was sentenced to 3 years in prison after pleading guilty to numerous crimes, including campaign finance violations pertaining to hush money payments during the 2016 campaign. Cohen implicated the president in those transactions, but the president shot back.
I never directed him to do anything wrong. Whatever he did on his own. He's a lawyer. A lawyer who represents a client is supposed to do the right thing. That's why you pay them a lot of money.
But Democrats clamoring for impeachment and more, with some like Adam Schiff saying the case against Cohen also applies to Trump, despite claims of executive immunity.
I thought he was a great guy. I thought he was really a nice guy. He was very supportive. And I liked him. And he was a lawyer. And because of that, I did it. And you know what? In retrospect, I made a mistake. Because what he did was all unrelated to me, except for the 2 campaign finance charges.
Well, that clearly was not the correct soundbite, but I will explain what Mr. Schiff said. Mr. Schiff said, if the charges work against Cohen, they work against Trump as well, continuing what many of the Democrats have been saying in the days following the Cohen sentencing. Meantime, there are reports claiming that Trump was in the room when Cohen discussed those hush money payments with the National Enquirer, which legal scholars say could mean a conspiracy charge against the president. Heather?
Yeah, a lot of coulds, a lot of ifs, a lot of whats. Yeah, all right. Thank you so much, Todd. Well, joining me now with expert analysis is criminal defense attorney David Bruno. David, thank you so much for getting into some of this for us. We were just discussing, a lot of this that is come down to, people in the room and a lot of people that weren't in the room that are trying to decide what was said.
Yeah, first, this has nothing to do with collusion. We're talking about campaign finance violations. And yes, this is like trying to shoot a moving target here, because as the days come on, we just get more and more information. And we really need to see what's going to be credible, because Cohen is not. Let's start there. Is there corroborating evidence? Do they have emails? Do they have additional recordings that we've already heard? But as we're talking about here, this is changing. That Wall Street Journal report putting Donald Trump in the room in 15 with Pecker and Cohen could be problematic, certainly. But I do see defenses for the president here.
Well, the president himself, he did have conversations with Cohen. Here's what he had to say with our Harris Faulkner.
I never directed him to do anything wrong. Whatever he did on his own. He's a lawyer. A lawyer who represents a client is supposed to do the right thing. That's why you pay them a lot of money.
All right, you're a lawyer. That's why you get paid a lot of money.
You know what? When I give advice to my clients, they do not ask me for every single one, is this lawful? Is this legal? That has to be assumed when an attorney is involved in a transaction and giving legal advice, right? So I could understand that point that he's trying to make. This was my attorney. Why wouldn't he tell me that this is an illegal campaign violation?
Can he be held accountable by not knowing that it was illegal?
No, this federal statute requires a willful violation. He has to know that it was illegal, and that is the point. I don't even know if Cohen knew that it was illegal or not, being the lawyer in the room. It's not clear in the federal law, because this is not just a flat-out contribution, right? This is an in-kind, an argument that is an in-kind contribution.
I want to get now to the second topic, though, because someone who did know and admits that he was breaking protocol, and that would be James Comey, and this issue of sending the FBI agents into General Flynn's house to grill him on Russia. Listen to what he said.
If the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over.
Let's just do it that way.
Unreal. Let's think about who he sent over to. Andy McCabe and Strzok.
Right. Andy McCabe, who's since been fired. Peter Strzok, one of the 2 FBI agents sent there.
Yeah, there's a text message. Strzok to Lisa Page talking about an insurance policy, talked about in Andy's office.
Right.
This is just unbelievable to me. And yeah, was it illegal what they did, the police? No, it wasn't illegal. They do it all the time.
Was it entrapment?
No, it wasn't entrapment either. You know, Flynn is bringing this up because there's a possibility that the judge could give him possible jail time. And he's saying, Judge, you have to understand the circumstances of that interview. I wasn't told that it was a violation to lie to the feds. And also,
they told him he didn't need an attorney. They had a tape of the conversation to begin with, but they went in anyway.
Right.
So why?
And Strzok also thought that he was telling the truth after.
Right.
Right. I can't believe that statement from Jim Comey, you know, because essentially he's saying we should have did it a different way. And because it was so early in the Trump administration, we tried to get around what was typical protocol. That's a problem. Is it illegal? No. Is it unethical?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. There was a lot to get through, but we managed to do it. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Let's see what happens over the weekend. Well, the time now is about 20 minutes after the top of the hour, and she has targeted the president and his supporters. Now Maxine Waters is at it again.
I believe that this president is dangerous. I think he's aligned himself with the enemy. He loves dictators.
Carly Shimkus here with reaction to her latest comments.
I believe that this president is dangerous. I think he has undermined our democracy.
Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7, SiriusXM 115 is here with reaction online. A lot of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you just heard California Congresswoman Maxine Waters taking a hardline stance in favor of President Trump's impeachment. Many other Democrats are calling the allegations against him impeachable offenses, but the overarching theory is to wait until Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report is complete before making any serious movement. A lot of conservatives on Facebook are pushing back against the notion of impeachment at all. Justin says she thinks he can be impeached simply because she doesn't like him. It's a sad reality. Joseph on Facebook chiming in saying, hey, Maxine, why didn't you help the state out who elected you? All we hear out of your mouth is impeachment. And another person on Facebook, Robert, says if she believes in the rule of law, she would be in support of the border wall to enforce our immigration laws. So a lot goes back over to immigration these days. President Trump says, of course, as you've been talking about with the previous guest, that he never directed Michael Cohen to break the law.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this, because I was this close to responding to this article online, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I was not someone that responded back, but a lot of other people did, talking about Melania Trump's hair.
Yeah, that's right. So she recently unveiled her new blonder look, and a lot of folks on Twitter and some journalists went into overdrive trying to figure out if there was a deeper meaning behind her hair change. The article that you were referring to is from The Cut, and a journalist there says, within the context of her FLOTUS role, a hair color change like this has greater significance than would mere alterations to wardrobe or makeup. To make this drastic a change to her hair, it risks suggesting instability or excess vanity. A lot of folks on Twitter, Heather, I think you may have been one of them, were saying, or it just means nothing at all. Maybe she just wanted to change her hair color. Another person says, how is any woman changing her hair worthy of news coverage? And Tyler says, pretty sure if I pitched this story to my editor, I'd get fired. So,
yeah,
she changed her hair.
It just wasn't worth commenting on, I decided in the end.
That's
We'll
right.
move on from it as well.
That's right.
So the First Lady, though, doing this was great. She's bringing this Christmas cheer to the Children's Hospital.
Yeah, that's right. Let's take a look. This is a clip of her reading to children at a children's hospital in Washington, D.C., the book Oliver the Ornament.
Oliver felt the Christmas spirit more than ever, knowing how much his family and friends loved him and how much he loved them in return.
Very cute stuff. Her visit continues a 60-year tradition of every First Lady visiting that very hospital in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, she's been really busy visiting our troops, a lot of children.
Yeah, she's had a big week.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Carly.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Well, the time now is about half past the top of the hour, almost. And President Trump vowing to shut down the government if Congress does not pay for the border wall. But our next guest has an idea to get the wall and to keep the government open.
The VA scandals that have occurred are widespread and totally inexcusable.
And the president vowed to fix the VA, and he's delivering on that promise. The new study on veterans hospitals out this morning. For whomever sent those chilling bomb threats to schools, hospitals, and other locations all across the U.S. and Canada. The suspects sent emails and robocalls threatening to blow up buildings unless a $20,000 ransom was paid in Bitcoin. The threats were not credible, and no one was injured, thankfully. It's unclear how many places or towns and cities were in fact targeted. That was really bizarre. Well, Paris bracing for more violent protests this weekend. Now President Trump is tying that unrest to the Paris Climate Accord.
The Paris Accord is not working out too well for Paris. That whole country is burning down, okay? So, and I was the one that kept us out of the Paris Accord. If I was in the Paris Accord, we would be paying trillions of dollars for nothing. My people love the job I'm doing.
Well, protesters started rioting after French President Macron hiked a fuel tax to fight climate change. He has since scrapped that idea. President Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord last year. And the Senate formally condemning the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia for the killing of columnist Jamal Khashoggi. It also voted to end U.S. military support for the Saudi war in Yemen. Khashoggi was murdered and dismembered at the Saudi Arabian consulate in Istanbul in October. President Trump has defended the Crown Prince, who denies knowing anything about the killing. U.S. intelligence agencies say he directed it. And after years of controversies and scandals, there is good news for VA hospitals this morning to tell you about. A new study shows that some of them are the best options for medical care. Dartmouth researchers looked at 121 regional markets and compared treatments for illnesses like pneumonia and heart conditions. In most cases, VA facilities outperform private hospitals. As Secretary Robert Wilkie says, the study is proof veterans are getting the care they deserve. Or we are working.
I will do it. I pledged that a long time ago, and I will pledge it always.
Our next guest has an idea to deal with immigration that would avoid a government shutdown. Washington Examiner contributor Ryan Girdusky joins us now live to explain. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So you just heard the president say, whatever it takes. We have limited time left. You say you have an idea how to do it. What is that?
So the president should give a formal Oval Office address, the way the President Bush used to, a lot of presidents used to in the past. Use the full power of his office. Sit there and give out the reasons that we should have a wall, a border wall, changes to our asylum laws, and E-Verify, which is all things that he's asked for in this Congress, and give it from the, not only perspective economically, for a perspective health-wise, for a perspective national security-wise, but talk about the humanitarian costs. According to Axios, 4,000 migrants over the last 4 years have died or gone missing trying to come to the United States because of our weak asylum laws and porous borders. Speak to the humanitarian issues of the poor Central Americans who are preyed upon by human smugglers, and then issue a series of executive orders using the full power of his office as the president, delaying visas and hitting and according to the Supreme Court ruled in Trump v. Hawaii, the president has broad powers on the subject of immigration given by Congress. He should halt all visas coming into the country, especially on businesses that donate heavily to Democrats, until he gets his main priorities done.
Yeah, you know, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think the more he speaks to the American people, I think the better. Someone else that he could have join him would be the U.S. Border Patrol Chief, Carla Provost. She was on Cavuto. Listen to what she had to say about why we need the wall.
We certainly do need a wall. If you have identified across the entire southwest border areas that wall makes sense, so no matter what funding I get, I am ready to work on putting the wall where we need it.
You know, and you talk about the number of apprehensions, over 51,000 total apprehensions just at the southwest border in November. That's as of November 2019.
Right. The number has been going up recently, not down. This is a situation that's getting worse, and obviously our border security knows far more what's going on the border than Chuck Schumer does, who said that it wasn't a major issue. It is a major issue, and they need to deliver on this. You know, the Republicans unfortunately haven't for 2 years. It's now time, now or never, because under a Democratic Congress, it's unlikely this will happen. So Trump should issue as many executive orders as possible and give a formal Oval Office address, not just tweets. It's not enough. We need every major news network covering it, and he needs to speak to every issue from humanitarian perspective to national security perspective on this issue.
You know, there was a recent Gallup poll said 21% of people polled believe that immigration is the top problem facing the U.S. Do you think that is one of the reasons that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, in fact, wanted to take that conversation, if you want to call it, between them and President Trump that was televised behind closed doors, where they were trying to come to some sort of deal over the amount of spending on the wall?
Right. I mean, look, there was an ABC Washington Post poll from earlier this year showing that almost 80% of Americans support E-Verify. Many Americans support many issues of the president on immigration. It is the reason he is the president. He won because he wasn't Jeb Bush on immigration or Hillary Clinton on immigration. This is his issue, and he has a lot of power. And of course, Democrats don't want to run on this. I mean, Hillary Clinton lost in large part because of her position on immigration. So this is not a winning issue for Democrats. It's a winning issue for Republicans. It's a winning issue for law and order, and it is the reason Donald Trump is president, and he needs to deliver on these things. It's essential.
Yet both sides always seem to get nothing done on it, and it always seems to be a campaign issue as a result. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it this morning.
Thank you.
Hopefully the president will take your advice. I think that's a good idea. Well, the time now is about 20 minutes until the top of the hour, and the top most Googled questions of 2018. How do I delete Facebook and Instagram? Kurt the Cyber Guy is here to show us how to successfully deactivate those accounts once and forever. Finally. Thank you.
With somebody